Hi guys, JT here, and today I'm bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Lovecraft and Sherlock Classics bundle of November 2025. To help me answer the question, should you buy it? By using the links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and support the channel in the process. Before I begin, I'd like to thank you the viewers for watching my silly videos. I hope they're helpful. Most importantly, knowing that you're watching it means the world. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have The Sinking City Remastered, a Lovecraftian detective adventure rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5, inviting you to explore the half-submerged city of Oakmont, a place drowning in madness, mystery, and cosmic horror. You play as a troubled private investigator drawn to the city's supernatural curse, unraveling eerie cases while balancing fragile sanity against unearthly horrors. This remaster brings new life into the game's haunting atmosphere. Thanks to ray tracing, global illumination, and 4K textures, every foggy street and waterlogged alley feels alive with dread. You'll explore on foot, by boat, and even underwater, piecing together clues in open-ended investigations that reward keen observation over hand-holding. Each case can unfold in multiple ways, leading to branching outcomes that make you question your own morality as much as the world's. While the story and setting remain captivating, the remaster's technical performance is mixed. Many players report crashes, stuttering, and uneven optimization. Combat is still clunky and enemy variety limited, but the improvements in lighting, controls, and crowd behavior make a noticeable difference. Despite the rough edges, the city's oppressive tension and strong detective mechanics more than make up for its flaws. What truly carries the experience is the atmosphere, the damp dread of Oakmont, its grotesque citizens, and the constant tug between sanity and discovery. If you crave narrative-driven horror rooted in cosmic mystery, The Sinking City Remastered offers an imperfect yet fascinating descent into madness, one well worth answering Cthulhu's call. At number 2 we have Sherlock Holmes, The Awakened, a dark and gripping reimagining of Frogware's 2006 Lovecraftian crossover, rebuilt as both a remake and a sequel to Chapter 1. You step into the shoes of a young Sherlock Holmes, whose investigation into a string of global disappearances draws you into a horrifying conspiracy involving a cult devoted to Cthulhu. Unlike Chapter 1's open-world structure, this game opts for tighter episodic storytelling, an approach that delivers sharper pacing and richer atmosphere. You'll explore London's foggy streets and the swamps of Louisiana and other haunting locales, solving complex cases through evidence collection, logical deduction, and psychological unraveling. The Mind Palace system returns, letting you piece together clues, while the new puzzles and first-person reconstructions immerse you in the detective's thought process. Playing as both Sherlock and Watson offers varied perspectives, emphasizing the deepening bond and humanizing the duo beyond classic portrayals. Visually, the game is stunning. Detailed environments, cinematic cutscenes, and cosmic horror sequences that blend realism with madness. The voice acting is superb, particularly Alex Jordan's portrayal of a young, mentally fragile Sherlock. The orchestral soundtrack and ambient sounds heighten the tension beautifully. If there's a drawback, it's that some deduction sequences rely too much on trial and error, and certain puzzles could use more challenge. Still, The Awakened stands out as one of the best narrative-driven detective adventures in years. A faithful remake that expands their mythos, blends psychological intrigue with cosmic terror to brilliant effect. At number 3 we have Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1, a bold reimagining of the world's greatest detective, taking you back to his origins as a brash 21-year-old, investigating the mysterious death of his mother. Set on the sun-soaked Mediterranean island of Cordona, this open-world detective adventure traces the foggy streets of London for vibrant markets, crumbling villas, and shady alleys hiding dark secrets. You'll uncover conspiracies, attend lavish parties, and rub shoulders with crime lords, all while battling Sherlock's own fractured psyche, aided by his imaginary friend, John. This version of Holmes is younger, cockier, and far less stable, making every case feel personal. You'll investigate crime scenes, collect evidence, and piece clues together in the Mind Palace, where you can even draw the wrong conclusions if you're careless. The open-ended structure rewards observation and logic, but early on, it is easy to get lost without much guidance. Once the systems click though, the sense of discovery becomes addictive. Combat makes an appearance, but wisely avoids turning Sherlock into a killer. Instead, you'll outthink thugs, disabling them with environmental tricks or quick shots before cuffing them. It's not the most engaging system, but it adds variety. Cordona is packed with optional cases, collectibles, and customization, from redecorating Holmes' mansion to dressing John in absurd outfits. With a wild story, memorable side quests, and a surprising amount of freedom, Chapter 1 feels both ambitious and refreshingly human. At number 4 we have Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments, a narrative-driven mystery game where you step into the shoes of the legendary detective to solve 6 complex cases across 1890s London. This is not just about finding clues, it is about interpreting them, drawing conclusions, and making tough moral choices based on your deductions. Each case offers a few hours of solid detective work. You'll examine crime scenes in detail, inspect bodies and items, and collect clues marked by interactive icons. Your notebook keeps everything organized and flags evidence that needs more investigation. Holmes' sixth sense helps uncover hidden elements, though the game does not always explain its necessity well. What makes this game unique is its flexible deduction system. You connect concepts on a dynamic deduction board, deciding how to interpret them. With multiple suspects and endings per case, your reasoning generally shapes the outcome. Once you decide who is guilty, you're faced with a moral choice: condemn or absolve, and the game even shows how your decision compares to others. Puzzles are sprinkled throughout, adding variety without blocking progress. You can skip any of them if they're not your thing. Holmes' lab and archives also add depth, though some features lack clear guidance. Visually, the game impresses thanks to its switch to Unreal Engine 3. Facial animations and environments look much better than previous entries. Voice acting, especially Holmes' dry wit, adds charm. Crimes and Punishments is a rich, rewarding detective experience. If you enjoy solving mysteries with real agency, this one's well worth your time. At number 5 we have The Testament of Sherlock Holmes, a dark and haunting detective adventure that takes you deep into the grim underbelly of Victorian London. You step into the shoes of Sherlock himself, facing a brutal string of murders, mutilations, poisonings, and betrayals that strip away the genteel veneer of past adventures. From the first horrific crime scene, a tortured priest in a church, to the unsettling discovery of a severed thumb, this is not the polite mystery you expect. This time, Holmes is not just a genius, but an anti-hero, cold, arrogant, and even suspected of the very crimes he's solving. You'll question his morality while piecing together clues through intricate puzzles, complex logic boards, and detailed investigations that test both patience and perception. Some puzzles are so elaborate, you'll wonder if the victims had time to die before hiding all their secrets behind codes and ciphers. The game's presentation is superb. London's fog, opium dens, and lavish chambers feel alive with atmosphere, and the excellent voice acting adds emotional weight to every revelation. You can play it in first or third person, which gives flexibility rarely seen in traditional point-and-click adventures. Still, the old-school design can slow things down. You'll spend plenty of time pixel hunting for clues and tackling an overwhelming number of logic puzzles. But despite the clutter, the story's intensity, cinematic visuals, and emotional depth keep you invested. At number 6 we have Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, a crime adventure that tries to modernize Frogware's detective series but ends up losing what made it special. You once again play as the world's greatest detective, but this time Holmes looks like a rugged TV star and Watson like a hipster with sculpted facial hair. The attempt to make the duo younger and more cinematic feels awkward and inconsistent, especially when supporting characters like Mrs. Hudson haven't aged a day. The game opens with an action-heavy chase through a snow-covered forest, immediately signaling a shift in tone. Instead of a quiet deduction, you're thrown into clumsy quick-time events, stealth sequences, and mini-games that detract from what you actually came for: investigating. When you're allowed to detect, the classic formula still shines. You search intricate environments for clues, connect evidence in Holmes' mind, and can even accuse the wrong suspect, giving you real agency. Being able to reveal or hide the truth at the end of each case is a clever touch. Unfortunately, the cases themselves aren't nearly as gripping as those in Crimes and Punishments. Many endings feel abrupt, and the supernatural twists feel misplaced in Holmes' logical world. The semi-open London is beautifully crafted but largely pointless, offering little beyond a few basic navigation puzzles. While there are brief moments of brilliance, they are buried beneath unnecessary action and tedious filler. At number 7 we have Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles, a hidden object and puzzle adventure that reimagines Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's most famous mystery with a supernatural twist. You join Sherlock and Watson as they investigate the eerie legend of a demonic hound haunting the moors, uncovering a dark family curse that stretches beyond logic and reason. Rather than a strict retelling of the novel, this version dives headfirst into fantasy, complete with magical amulets, cursed relics, and ghostly encounters. You explore more than 35 detailed Victorian locations, solving puzzles and searching for hidden objects that advance the story. Each screen offers clever, sometimes challenging item hunts, and the game lets you adjust the difficulty, so you can focus on either exploration or deduction. Some puzzles are genuinely inventive, but others can be confusing or overly obscure, occasionally breaking the flow. Still, the mix of logic and hidden object gameplay keeps you engaged. Visually, the game shines with atmospheric backgrounds, fog-drenched moors, and haunting interiors that capture the gothic tone perfectly. The voice acting, featuring familiar performers from Frogware's adventure series, adds authenticity, even if the dialogue is sparse. The music and sound design enhance the tension, though it can occasionally overdo the drama. While purists might balk at the mystical elements and lack of deep detective work, this is still an enjoyable, eerie take on a classic story. At number 8 we have Sherlock Holmes vs. Jack the Ripper, a dark and grounded detective adventure that pits you against one of history's most infamous killers. Set in the grim streets of 1888 Whitechapel, you join Holmes and Watson as they hunt the Ripper through a story that blends real-world history with Frogware's signature deduction gameplay. It's the studio's best early outing, balancing respectful historical fiction with a chilling sense of realism that never feels exploitative. The game's tone is heavier than previous Holmes titles. You'll examine grisly crime scenes, question witnesses based on real police testimonies, and slowly piece together clues using a more refined deduction board. The pacing feels deliberate, letting you trace the Ripper's trail as the murders unfold. Beyond the horror, bits of dry humor from Holmes and Watson keep the experience from becoming unbearable, even as the story explores tough subjects like poverty, disease, and prejudice. Despite some rough edges, stiff animations, dated visuals, and awkward sound design, the atmosphere carries the experience. The fog-choked alleys, candlelit rooms, and oppressive tension all work together to create a haunting setting. It's also one of the few adventure games of its time to handle mature themes with surprising nuance, especially around its portrayal of sex work and social decay. While not technically flawless, it's a gripping investigation that captures both the tragedy and fascination of the Ripper case. At number 9 we have Sherlock Holmes, Nemesis, a first-person detective adventure that pits you against Arsène Lupin, the legendary gentleman thief. As Holmes, you must stop Lupin's planned strings of daring heists across London, from the British Museum to Buckingham Palace, in a battle of wits that feels equal parts mystery and treasure hunt. It is a lighter, more playful story than Frogware's previous horror-inspired entry, but it still delivers clever puzzles, atmospheric settings, and satisfying cerebral challenges that make you feel like a true detective. You'll explore lavishly detailed recreations of real historical sites, hunting through paintings, artifacts, and poems for clues. The puzzles are tough but fair, forcing you to analyze riddles, cross-examine clues, and use classic deduction to outsmart your rival. When it all clicks, you genuinely feel like you're unraveling an intricate mystery piece by piece. There are occasional frustrations. Inventory puzzles can feel overcomplicated, and some hotspots only appear in specific sequences. But overall, the game's logic holds together well. Visually, it's a clear upgrade from earlier Frogware's titles, boasting sharp environments and charmingly theatrical performances. Watson's occasional awkwardness aside, the banter between him and Holmes adds warmth and humor to the investigation. The first-person view might divide fans, but it helps immerse you in Holmes' world, letting you physically uncover secrets instead of just observing them. At number 10 we have Sherlock Holmes, The Awakened, 2008. A remastered adventure that drags you from the logic-driven streets of Baker Street straight into the cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. This entry gives you the choice between classic first-person investigation or a new third-person perspective, blending old-school point-and-click gameplay with psychological unease. As Sherlock, joined by the loyal Dr. Watson, you unravel a chilling conspiracy spanning London, Switzerland, Louisiana, and Scotland, each locale filled with eerie atmosphere and unsettling mysteries. You'll interrogate over 60 characters, collect evidence, and solve intricate puzzles that test both observation and patience. The help system provides subtle nudges, but even then, some riddles remain obscure enough to drive you toward a guide. While the mechanics can feel dated and the movement occasionally clunky, the game's mood, story, and voice work still carry real charm. Its mix of logic and madness, reason versus the unknowable, keeps you questioning whether deduction alone can confront cosmic dread. Performance-wise, you might run into bugs or softlocks, so frequent saving is essential. The visuals and animations show their age, but the haunting soundtrack, clever dialogue, and gloomy environments still draw you deep into its twisted mystery. If you enjoy slower atmospheric detective games and don't mind wrestling with a few quirks, this remains a fascinating relic of the dark age of adventure gaming. For fans of Lovecraft and Holmes alike, this eerie crossover is worth the trip. At number 11 we have Sherlock Holmes, The Mystery of the Persian Carpet, a casual hidden object adventure game that puts you in the shoes of the world's greatest detective. The story begins with a young artist found dead and wrapped in a Persian carpet, leading into a web of jealousy, blackmail, and secret affairs. While the premise sounds intriguing, the execution leaves much to be desired. You spend most of your time scouring beautifully rendered Victorian-era rooms for clues, from parlors to gardens, but the pixel hunting can be maddening. Objects are often so tiny or well hidden that you'll burn through your limited hints in frustration. Unlike most hidden object games, the items here are actually relevant to the case, which helps immersion, but the lack of hotspot indicators makes the search feel punishing rather than challenging. Each chapter ends with a deduction board sequence, where you link clues to suspects. In theory, this is brilliant detective work. In practice, it is confusing and vague. The logic feels guess-based, leaving you more puzzled than triumphant. The numerous logic puzzles scattered between scenes, jigsaws, math riddles, and code breakers add variety, but most feel disconnected from the story. The game offers multiple difficulty modes and a nice orchestral soundtrack, yet the absence of voice acting or real character interaction makes the investigation feel cold and distant. Ultimately, the mystery of the Persian carpet is an ambitious but uneven experiment. Too stripped down for adventure fans, too frustrating for casual players, and only intermittently satisfying as detective work. At number 12 we have Sherlock Holmes, The Secret of the Silver Earring, a classic third-person detective adventure where you step into the shoes of Holmes and Watson to solve the shocking murder of Sir Melvin Bromsby, gunned down in front of guests during his daughter's birthday party. What begins as a straightforward whodunit quickly spirals into a complex web of missing wills, political pressure, and tangled motives that'll keep you second-guessing every suspect. You'll spend a week examining crime scenes, interviewing witnesses, and solving a variety of logic-based puzzles. The mix of dialogue-heavy sequences and clue hunting feels immersive, and the game's structure makes you feel like a proper detective, complete with evidence tabs and end-of-day quizzes to test your deductions. The pre-rendered environments look impressive for their time, complemented by a stirring classical score that adds gravitas to every discovery. However, the game is not without frustrations. Movement can feel clunky, stealth segments are poorly designed, and modern re-releases suffer from scaling issues, making text and clues nearly unreadable at high resolutions. The mystery itself is ambitious but dense, often overwhelming you with details and red herrings that make progress feel both rewarding and exhausting. Despite these flaws, Secret of the Silver Earring remains an intriguing and ambitious early entry in the Frogware series. It captures Sherlock Holmes' ego, wit, and humanity while challenging your investigative skills more deeply than most games dare. You'll be frustrated at times, but you'll also feel brilliantly tested. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is straight up fire if you're into detective or mystery games. You're getting a full lineup of Frogware's titles like Crimes and Punishments, Chapter 1, The Awakened, and The Sinking City, all for a price that's basically pocket change. Sure, the DLCs aren't included, but the base games alone offer hours of solid sleuthing and brain-bending puzzles. The devs have leveled up hard with every release, so you'll see the evolution firsthand. For this price, it's a no-brainer pickup. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and maybe consider buying the channel a coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.